What's on the menu? What's new?
Welcome back to the Fantasy Jacks podcast, week 2 of the Festus Fantasy Football Forum. And if you won week 1, congratulations. If you lost week 1, like myself, it's okay. Maybe, unless it's not. Hang in there. Week 1 is always a clusterfuck, especially with, new teams, new situations, timeshares, whatsoever. Doesn't matter. This episode, gonna be a good one. Gonna be longer than last week, that's for sure, because we're gonna be going over the matchup previews, primetime matchup, and we are going to be going over anything else that I feel like, because it's my show. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Austin last week said that I looked like Tweaky, so I thought I'd wear a suit this week. So that's for you, Austin. All right, here we go. So, gentlemen, let's start off with the matchup reviews, matchup recaps of week 1. Interesting week, to say the least. We'll start off with the primetime game. This is the kickoff the year with the defending champion Guardians of Your Mom's House taking on Breece's Backpack. And again, J-Go just has my number week 1. Breece's Backpack taking down the Guardians. You had Mark Andrews, dud. You had Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, dud. You had Chuba Hubbard, dud. It was hard to recover. Had a lead going into Monday night, and Breece Hall is just too damn good. It does raise some concerns for the Guardians, but like I said in the beginning, week 1 is a clusterfuck. Mark Andrews, that was a weird situation. Chuba Hubbard, weird situation. And look, the Breece's Backpack team has some dogs on them. Anthony Richardson looks like a fantasy juggernaut. Breece Hall, again, is going to be great. Breece's Backpack going to 1-0. We knew this team was going to be pretty decent at the very least, and they are. Just plain and simple, they are very good. Definitely going to be moving up in the power rankings. I forgot to mention that again. Okay, matchup previews, awards, and power rankings. Fuck. Let's move on to the next game. Team Didi with Off to Grandma. Butt fucked Team Didi. 110-90 this week. Wow. AJ Forrester, does he have a squad this year? We will find out. But so far, it's looking like it. AJ Brown, Ramondre Stevenson, what a game. God, he just completely manhandled the Bengals. Malik Neighbors didn't do much. JSN underperformed very much. I'm very impressed. Team Didi, I think his power ranking definitely precedes itself. I mean, no one's scoring over 20 points, and it doesn't look like it can get any better. I won't look at any of these scores and say it's bad game script, it's bad whatever. I just don't think the players were really good this week. Ayuk dropping passes, Javonte Williams in a timeshare that he kind of knew about going into the season. Samir White, okay, I'll give him that one because Chargers defense was just really good last week. Brock Bowers, who I thought was not going to be the best pick, ended up being pretty good for this team. He might be a lone bright spot because although Justin Jefferson scored a touchdown, he still only got 16 points. You like your wide receivers to get at least 20 wins scoring touchdowns, especially with the caliber of Justin Jefferson. So we'll see where that ends up this year. But yeah, if I'm Team Didi, it's definitely looking a little weird this year. Like, I don't know where this team is at, but I don't think it's going to be a good one. So, 0-1, off to Grandma, 1-0. The next game we're going to be covering is the Dogs. The Dogs. My microphone's right here, as you can see, so that's why I've bent down. And Jaxipad comes out on top on this one. Can't say I'm happy about it because Jaxipad is just the worst name in the whole league, and I hate having to say that, but Chris did come out on top. However, I don't know if the win was worth it, because in this win he lost Puka Nacua, and he has now discovered some glaring holes in this team with Deontay Johnson and Dalton Kincaid, and now your wide receiver 1 is gone. The Dogs, a tough week. I mean, you had 4 guys under 10 points, 2 of them under 4 points, and those are your 2 wide receivers, Amari Cooper and Terry McLaurin. This was the area that we kind of were concerned about coming out of the draft, and lo and behold, it cost you week 1. That's unfortunate, to say the least. Brian Thomas on the bench there would have won the week. Terry McLaurin, again, maybe some concerns there. But nonetheless, Jacksonville had 1-0.
But 4 billion women on this earth?
That might not be enough! You know what I mean?
Here's a game that I know the manager is going to love me talking about. The 08 Lions taking down Thank You Tomorrow 117-101. Colin, I'm sorry that I was dissing on your team so much. It's not like you literally named yourself the '08 Lions. That wasn't me. You called your team bad, not me. I just kind of agreed. I'll give it to you. Jaden Reed and Jordan Love, God, that'd be a great stack. However, Jordan Love got hurt this week, and he's not going to be playing for at least 4 weeks. They say it's a sprained MCL. Those can take 6 weeks. Being, where you're at in the season, maybe he tries to rush back. Maybe they take it a little bit easy. So we will have to really keep an eye out on the quarterback position for the '08 Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs looked solid. DeAndre Swift, although did not put up enough points, I think this one's going to be okay. Not what you want from your RB2. This is kind of like the Brees' backpack situation where you, have such a studly RB1, but your RB2 can really cause problems. I think that's going to be the same thing with the '08 Lions this year. Again, monitor that as the season goes on. Garrett Wilson, I thought it looked like he was off to a great start and completely fell apart, but I think he's going to be just fine. His rapport with Aaron Rodgers looked great. DK Metcalf and Sam Laporta, I know you were so happy that Aaron Jones did great, but let me tell you, he's not going to put up 19 points every week. I'm just saying, he's not. The thank you to Mar Squad. What a dumpster fire. I mean, just an absolutely gross team. Deshaun Watson, ass. Derrick Henry had a bad week, but he'll be fine. Austin Eckler, ass. Love me some Eckler, but like I said, you can't have a literal RB2 as your RB2. In this league, you can't do that. We're too competitive, okay? And I said I would probably bet a lot of money that he wouldn't score 15 points, and he didn't. I'm not a fortune teller. I just kind of know my shit. Tyreek Hill's great. Debo looked great. Evan Ingram, don't worry about it. Every tight end sucked this week. George Pickens, though, looks like a rock star. You might have someone there. Yeah, thank you to Mar falling to 0-1. He's going to stay at that number 12 spot, let me tell you. Next up, we have You Like That taking down We Are Shit 116-96. Listen, is We Are Shit actually shit, or did they just have a bad week? Let's see, because I'm curious. Okay, look, Dak Prescott, negative game script. He's going to be really good this year. Jonathan Taylor, this was weird. I definitely expected him to have a better game, so I wouldn't worry about him. Rashad White did as about projected. Michael Pittman, I'd be worried. I've seen a lot of things about Pittman. He had 40% target share, and he still only had 40 yards. That's not good. Anthony Richardson only had 9 completed passes. Like, they were just dropping fucking bombs. That's not Pittman's game. And you have 2 Colts, none of which are Anthony Richardson, probably the most important Colt. Devontae Smith looks solid. David Njoku, injured. Uh-oh. And then Robinson looks solid. Keon Coleman looks solid. Listen, it was a tough week for We Are Shit. A lot of duds. A lot of weird game script, though, so let's just chalk it up as just bad luck. You Like That squad. A-Chain looks solid. Might be injured. Cooper Kupp, that might be the pick of the draft this year, because look at the workload he's going to get now with Puka out, and whenever he did go out, he had 20-something targets. Insane. I think Cooper Kupp single-handedly won Judson the week this week. Kyle Pitts didn't look great. Kyler Murray didn't look great. Travis Etienne did not look great, besides the 1 touchdown. So it's going to really rely on CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp. I like relying on my wide receivers personally, but it's going to be interesting to see where this team goes. You Like That nonetheless. I still love the team. Finally, the last game. This was very, very interesting. I did check. This is not the lowest scoring game ever. It was very much in contention, though. Bear Down losing in hilarious fashion to Can't Chub Check by 40 points. 114-74. Bear Down did not have a guy score over 10 points besides Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice started Thursday, and Brock was high and mighty on it. That's funny how fantasy football works when you start off looking so great and fall so flat on your face. Sunday, like I said, no one scoring above 9 points, actually. So we're just going to chalk this up as fuck. Just forget about it. That's definitely the worst you could probably do this season. In terms of Can't Chub Check, all around, pretty decent win. Jake Ferguson is injured, so he will be having to hit the waiver wire for a tight end. But when I look at the team, Amon-Ra is going to be fine. Joe Mixon had a great day. Kenneth Walker had a great day. Listen, I may have said that I didn't love this running back room besides Walker. The power was shown here today. Joe Mixon might be a lot better than I anticipated he'd be. And Kenneth Walker, I thought he'd be good. He looks like he's going to be good. Maybe injured, but good nonetheless. David Montgomery. I mean, the 3 running backs right there, I really do like. I really like. And Lamar, of course. Those were the Week 1 matchup recaps. Like I mentioned, Brees's backpack taking the win, off to Grandma taking the win, Jaxie Pad taking the win, 08 Lions, you like that, and Can't Chubb Check, all walking out of Week 1 1-0. Before we actually get to the matchup previews, I forgot. I want to do the awards for Week 1. I have 3 awards this week, 2 of which are You Fucked Up awards. The first one goes to Jackson, the Guardians manager, for starting Chuba Hubbard over Pollard. That sucked. That would have resulted in a win. And starting Burrow over Daniels, that would have resulted in a win. Remember, these You Fucked Up awards are going to be trying to result, like if you would have done this, you would have won. So, and then my other You Fucked Up award this week is Tyler sitting Brian Thomas for Terry McLaurin. I know it would have been scary Terry, but I could have seen a world where this was possible, considering Terry McLaurin had a rookie quarterback. I think Tyler did too. So, Tyler and Jackson, the Dogs, and the Guardians get the You Fucked Up awards this week. The play of the week, however, is Jay Gill for starting Xavier Worthy over Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was projected more. He went with his gut, and Xavier Worthy, I have to respect that. So good job to you, Mr. Jay Gill. Great play there. Remember, I go through all, like, there's not going to be one per week. It's going to be, if there's 6 plays of the week and 6 You Fucked Up awards of the week, it doesn't matter. Here we go. All right, matchup previews for Week 2. I went 3-3 last week on my picks, so let's look to go 6-0 this week. All right, first up, Brees's backpack taking on the Dogs. As I'm recording this, the projections are 121.6 to 120.4 in favor of Brees's backpack. Listen, to get off on a 2-0 start for a fantasy season is actually a really big thing, and you don't really want to start 0-2. So this is a big game for both managers here. I think the Dogs really need this win, considering how bad last week was in the wide receiver room. It'll be interesting to see if Brian Thomas gets the start. With that being said, though, I like to look at the matchups for all the players. Honestly, they're like kind of, you know, wishy-washy. They could go either way. There's a couple that I really love, like Terry McLaurin against the Giants and Devin Singletary against Washington. Funny enough, they play each other. Both have terrible defenses. I like Mike Evans against Detroit this week, and I really like Josh Allen against Miami. We'll see how that ends up. It's going to be a tough game, I think. This is not the primetime game, but this is, you know, the game of the week on Fox, right? This is America's game of the week, because it's 2 storied managers, you know, friends now foes, and it's an important week. Like I said, you want to be 2-0, not 0-2, and you want to be 1-1, not 0-2. So it's stuff like that. I'm going to take Brees's backpack. I like this team a lot this year. I don't see this team taking any steps back. Everyone's healthy. Nothing changes within their systems. He's got a lot of good workhorses. And for the Dogs, I mean, look, it's not like a diss on them. I'm not sold on these wide receivers, man. With Deshaun Watson and Jaden Daniels, although Jaden Daniels is a great fantasy quarterback, I don't know how that's going to translate to fantasy. And then on the off chance that you do switch him out, then, you know, like, do you take that risk with Brian Thomas, who maybe just had one good week? I don't know. Cleveland's defense is pretty good as well. I just don't like that. I don't like it at all. Bijan against Philadelphia's run defense, it's also not the best matchup. We will see. I don't think the Dogs have it this week, though. So Brees's backpack I have going to 2-0. Next matchup, Off to Grandma and Jaxie Pad. Battle of the 1-0 squads. I like this. Look, 120.1 projected to, as I'm recording this, Chris has not filled in Puka's spot, but it's probably around 112, 113. This is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be impossible. It's going to be very hard for Chris to win this week. With no Puka, with no certainty out of Dalton Kincaid and Deontay Johnson. And look, Josh Jacobs, although maybe in some theory you could argue that he's going to have a better role now that Jordan Love is hurt, I'd argue no. Because now every team is going to crowd the box because they know Malik Willis can't throw. So his efficiency is going to go down tremendously. Maybe he gets some more pass game work, potentially. But there's a lot of glaring problems on the Jack 2 Pad squad, and I think, personally, often Grandma's going to expose him this week. CJ Stroud against Chicago, whatever, but Kyren Williams against Arizona, that might be a bloodbath. It might be a bloodbath. Kyren, AJ Brown, I would even say DJ Moore this week could have monster games. Even Malik Neighbors on the Giants of all teams could have a monster week this week. I'm thinking that's how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna take off to Grandma this week.
Week 2 coming up. Got Allen on the schedule. I really like my team compared to Allen's. Like, you line them up, stack them, look at them, each position group. Like, my tight end is better. If he gets off the bus, last week, I don't know if he knew he had a game, but this week, I think he's going to be informed about it, hopefully.
Fuck no.
But I like my flexes compared to his. I think they have way better matchups. I think Mahomes will have a good week this week versus Cincinnati. They're off to a slow start. I could see him throwing 3-4 tutties. I'll take that. Who wouldn't? I think my RB room is better. Jacob's got a little back injury or something. He'll be fine. He don't need that shit. Puka being out. That is a tough pill to swallow. But, we hit the waiver wires hard, and we got Lazard. Not really happy with that. Whoever has been. But, picking up Jeff Wilson is huge for me because Achane and Mostert are about to be out. So he's going to get the bulk of that work. I don't think Miami's trying to rely on a rookie running back this early in the season, but you never know. But I think Wilson should be a good fill-in, at least this week, And it's all about adapting, Draft is just the foundation of your team, and waiver wires is for the weekly wins. It really is. And, we have been looking at some trades. We have been. We're not going to fire the gun on any of those yet. We're going to wait for teams to hit the panic button, get to 0-2, 0-3. But I really like my matchup this week, despite the projections. It's going to be a great game, and I can't wait.
All right, next matchup is Team Didi taking on the Guardians of Your Mom's House. Both teams 0-1. Tough week ones. Tougher for one team. I would say Team Didi definitely had a tougher week 1. Going forward now, as you guys can see, Jaden Daniels and Tony Pollard both in the starting lineups, and I'm very confident in that. I'm very confident in those two players, maybe more so Jaden Daniels and Tony Pollard, because the Jets do have a tough defense. But when I look at these matchups, right, Kamara against Dallas, don't love it. James Conner against the Rams, I do kind of like that. Jamar Chase against Kansas City, I hate. For some reason, the Chiefs' defense is tough. But Jaylen Waddle against Buffalo, could love that, actually. Could love that a lot. Mark Andrews against Vegas, we'll see. There's definitely some opportunities here this week. As for Team Didi, you have Jalen Hurts against Atlanta. Okay, we saw what Justin Fields could do. Jalen Hurts is way better, so I would imagine he does way better. Isaiah Pacheco might score 50 points this week, considering how bad the fucking Bengals are at stopping the run. I mean, you guys saw it. Maybe you didn't see it. I know stupid-ass Chris saw it. I mean, the Bengals suck on defense, and they could not stop the run at all. And if I'm the Chiefs, I'm looking at that, and I have Pacheco. Oh, he might get 30 carries this week, and I'm dead serious about it. Samir White, though, I don't know. Samir White might be a big question mark for this team. Justin Jefferson against San Francisco. That San Francisco defense is fucking good. I mean, Garrett Wilson had a great first quarter, nothing after. Nothing. He had 6 catches. 4 in the first quarter, nothing after. And with Sam Darnold being the quarterback, I would be concerned. Brendan Ayuk, he should be better this week for sure. Brock Bowers, we'll see. Nico Collins against Chicago, I really don't know. I don't have any opinion on that. And then Javonte Williams against Pittsburgh. Good luck there. Javonte Williams couldn't even do good against the Seahawks defense. And now you want him to go to Pittsburgh? That's not going to be good. So look, 0-1 teams are tough, all right? It's 117 projection to 123 projection. I'm going to take the Guardians this week to get their first win. I just don't think, although Team Didi has some bright spots, I don't think it's the week in terms of matchups, okay? And that's the only diss I'm going to give them. Next up, I have Thank You Tomorrow taking on Can't Chubb Check. Listen, Thank You Tomorrow, I hate this team, but I'm going to be fair. 114 projection to 121.4 projection. Can't Chubb Check is, let me tell you, He is starting off the year strong. However, injury concerns are already biting this team in the ass. Ferguson probably won't play this week. Kenneth Walker should play, but is still injured, questionable. Lamar Jackson questionable, but he should be fine. But when you get past that, it looks like some pretty, I don't know, pretty tough matchups, though. You know, you still got Kenneth Walker going against New England, Joe Mixon against Chicago. Look, both teams this week have some pretty tough matchups. I would say that Can't Chubb Check, although it's a better team, they have the tougher matchups. Thank You Demar has some pretty decent matchups this week. Although Deshaun Watson and Austin Eckler suck, they have pretty decent and favorable matchups. Jacksonville and New York should be good defenses to go against. Debo against Minnesota. Tyreek against Buffalo. Evan Ingram against Cleveland. You know, there's definitely some spots here where Thank You Demar can attack. Will he do it? I don't know. I have no idea. Christian Watson and George Pickens look like to be washes this week with Patrick Kane and Malik Willis just sucking. So kind of kiss your flexes goodbye unless you make a switch, like for Wan'Dale Robinson. Personally, I'd switch Watson for Robinson because Pickens looks really good this year. So what do I go with on this, right? Well, I can't Chubb Check, like I said, has the better team, worse matchups. Thank You Demar, worse team, slightly better matchup. Still not great, but slightly better. You know, I think I would have to go. Listen, guys, I'm calling the upset this week. My upset pick of the week is Thank You Demar. It's going to take down Can't Chubb Check for his first win of the season, and everyone's going to fucking hear about it. Nez, don't worry, your team's still solid. So we are shit taking on Bear Down. Guys, I can't even say this with a straight face because it's so bad. Injuries do play a part in this, but as the time I'm recording this, We Are Shit's projected total is 106, Bear Down's projected total is 105. It is quickly falling apart for both of these teams. Last week, you could have a bunch of different excuses for both of these teams, and I would say, okay, you know, it's just a really weird week, a bad game script, unlucky, whatever, week 1 shits, we get it. But to be this lowly projected and have this little negative, like this little outlook, this negative outlook, and then you look at the matchups, alright? Caleb Williams against Houston, I don't like. Raheem Mostert is questionable, probably won't play this week, and if he does, he'll be limited. Chris Olave and Drake London had very concerning games this past week, and their matchups don't get any easier, they get way harder. I mean, Chris Olave couldn't score more than 5 points against the Panthers. Drake London, too, against Philadelphia. I'm really concerned for both of these teams. I'm really concerned, right? I want to be positive, I want to be optimistic and say that it was just week 1 shits, but I don't know. Go to We Are Shit right now, right? David Njoku, injured, probably not going to play this week. T. Higgins, as of now, is still injured. If it's a hamstring injury, it probably lingers. Maybe he doesn't play fully 100%. So you put in Zach Moss, I'd assume. But who's your backup tight end, right? Only one tight end can go off the waivers, right? That's actually going to be good this week, probably, and that's Isaiah Likely. But I don't know. Dak against New Orleans, tough game. John Taylor against Green Bay. Michael Pittman also with that. Rashad White against Detroit. I don't hate, actually. Devontae Smith against Atlanta. I mean, none of these games actually kind of coincide with one each other. Also, Christian McCaffrey isn't playing for Bear Down this week, most likely. I have heard reports that he's not going to be playing in week 2. This game is going to be, it's going to be sneakily like 102 to like 90. Who am I going to take this week, though? I'm going to take We Are Shit. I think they can squeeze it out barely. Like I said, if it's 102 to 90, great, but it could very well be 105 to 104. It could be 89 to 86. It's in all the realm of possibilities, especially for this game. It's not going to be high scoring. So, primetime matchup. You like that in the OA lines. 128.4 to 114.4. Wow. That is a huge disparity with it. I would assume everyone's healthy too for the 08 Lions. This is very interesting stuff here. I'm glad to see he finally put Nick Chubb on his IR. Get ready to put Jordan Love on there too, buddy. Because like we mentioned at the beginning, Jordan Love is injured. He's going to be out. So that Jaden Reed, Jordan Love stack, is that worthless? I don't even know if you could play it. Because Malik Willis, although they'll have plays for Jaden Reed, do you want to take that chance that Malik Willis can even get him the ball? I don't know. Gibbs, though, against Tampa Bay, I do like. Garrett Wilson against Tennessee. L'Jarius Sneed is there. That could be a problem. DK Metcalf against New England, that could be a problem. Sam Laporta against Tampa Bay, that should be fine. Like I said, Jaden Reed and DeAndre Swift, whatever. But when I look at the You Like That team and their matchups this week, right? Kyler against the Rams, I think it'll be, maybe a projection game. He'll get his 16 to 20 points. But here's the interesting questions. De'Von Achane's questionable, plays on Thursday night. He might not play because it's an ankle issue. So that's going to be interesting. CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp, though. Cooper Kupp against Arizona might be a bloodbath. But CeeDee Lamb against New Orleans, I don't know. I really don't remember the last time Cowboys and Saints even played each other. So I really don't know how this is going to go. And Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley also have pretty tough matchups. So this is actually who's going to be better, worse? Who's going to be worse, better, right? Who's going to be bad, better? Because I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And this is going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't think either team breaks 100 this week. But whose floor is higher? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. And if you have to ask me, which you do because you're watching this video or listening to this on the podcast, I'm going to take You Like That. You maybe switch, Achane out for J.K. Dobbins, fill that flex spot with Chase Brown. I still think it's going to be good enough to overcome the 08 Lions this week. The 08 Lions just have tough matchups, especially at the wide receiver positions. Just to recap my picks, I have the Guardians winning. I have the Breeze's Backpack Squad winning. I have Off to Grandma winning. I have my upset pick of the week, Thank You Damar winning. And then I have We Are Shit winning. For the primetime matchup, I have You Like That winning. So if you guys want to do the picks with me, you can send them to me and I can include them in next week's recap portion of the video. But we're going to be moving on to the power rankings. And like I said, I have to go so I'm going to take the suit off. I got to go get some stuff done. But don't be alarmed when I show up in new clothes. So
Starbucks.
as I said, I'm going to be coming back in some different clothes. Now I'm in some street clothes. That's because I am not feeling good and I have to do this kind of in sections. But power rankings is now upon us, and I'm actually really excited about this because we had a lot of shaking, a lot of volatility this week. A lot of teams moved pretty high up, a lot of teams moved pretty high down. I want to say this right now. This is not based on if you win or lose. It's not the top 6 winning teams. That's not the bottom 6 teams that are 0-1. It's not. It is based on
Home goods.
record, projections, team outlook. If you just had a major player get injured, it's based on a lot of stuff. Hold on, light's kind of crazy right now. A lot of things go into this. I don't want it to just be a copy and paste from ESPN. And I want it to have what I think is true outlook for a team. These first couple weeks are always going to be super volatile. But we're going to get right into it. I'm going to quit yapping. All right, number 12. Coming in for 2 weeks in a row is Thank You Damar. I had a tough week 1. I don't see it improving in the future. I think this is the worst team. But with number 11, it's We Are Shit. Team Marmontes. Thank you for your service. But these are, I think, the bottom 2 teams in the league. I would not be surprised if Tony's squad, unless changes are made, sticks at these bottom 2. And it's unfortunate because we love Tony. At number 10, I have Team Didi. Again, after what we saw week 1, I think my initial fears of this team were correct. And I think it was honestly kind of worse than I anticipated. A lot of guys that that Austin drafted were not utilized in a fantasy helpful way, right? Fantasy positive way. So that's a bit concerning. Again, he has players to make trades that could maybe even out this team. But I think on paper, Team Didi is a bottom 3 team. At number 9, for week 2, I have Bear Down. A big hit. I understand that. And you know what? I'm not going to solely base it on the week 1 performance, even though it was abysmal. It really was. I'm more so basing it off of the fact that we don't know the health of Christian McCaffrey right now. And I don't honestly know if Chris Olave and Drake London and Caleb Williams are going to be fantasy relevant this year. I think Trey McBride will be fine. And you know what? Let's throw in Raheem Mostert. I mean, there's just so many question marks on this team, and they were emphasized in week 1, and I have to put those concerns on or in these power rankings. Again, I'm not hating. I'm just saying what I believe. There's a lot of negative aura going around Bear Down's team right now. Again, a week 2 win here, a blowout win, could completely just shoot him back up the power rankings. Remember, it's volatile. But when you have a really bad week like you did A lot of question marks can arise from that. Just don't know if I can confidently and without honestly lying to myself, I don't think I can put you any higher right now. Expect this team to go up higher, though, in weeks following, unless that Christian McCaffrey injury lingers. At number 8, I have the Guardians of your mom's house. Week 1 was a tough loss to Jay Gill. However, again, it's just one of those things. Week 1s just kind of suck, and Jay Gill's really good at Week 1. I'm not so pressed about it. Couple question marks for sure in terms of the Bengals and Mark Andrews. But I think moving forward, this team will be all right. I just cannot confidently put it over the teams above it right now. So that's why it's stuck down here at number 8. Like I said, though, super volatile for these first couple weeks. At number 7, I have...
Do I need a plan?
JaxyPad. And JaxyPad, it fell. It fell a few spots, and that's because of the Puka Nacua injury. I don't know if this team can win games without Puka. Granted, to be fair, it did win against the Dogs. The Dogs. Week 1. However, I just don't know if it can really win without Puka. Right? Puka's basically he's a first rounder. And he was supposed to be your superstar wide receiver. Now you're going to be relying on Stephon Diggs. And I just don't think you can do that on a week-to-week basis. There's going to be games, I think, where Diggs kind of goes away. And that's just because the Texans have a lot of receivers. I don't want to admit it, but Tank Dell was heavily involved, and we have to monitor that. Puka Nacua, though, is the PPR guy. And with him gone, you can't confidently put Deontay there, and you cannot confidently put Hopkins or Mike Williams. Mike Williams didn't even play on Monday night. Really, really big concern there, and that's why I've moved JaxyPad all the way down to number 7.
Do they have a sale?
At number 6, I have the 08 Lions, and this is a pretty big jump for this team. I actually don't hate it. I felt like it was necessary to move them up because of the good performance in Week 1 and because I was wrong about a couple players. And I originally did not see the power of Garrett Wilson that he could have in fantasy this season. I mean, he had a big win even without Laporta doing anything, without Swift doing anything, and that was really impressive in my opinion. The only problem with this team now, and you can honestly probably swap this team and JaxyPad, is Jaden Reed. His outlook right now is very grim, especially with losing Jordan Love. It's very possible he does not start in weeks following because that Malik Willis is not going to be good for him. I think all around, though, I guess I was wrong about Aaron Jones. We'll see how this week goes. But Jahmyr Gibbs, again, was very solid. DK will have a better weeks in the future, I should say. And, Sam Laporta is obviously still going to be really solid. So I think the 08 Lions are pretty good right now at number 6. These 6 and 7 teams, we'll really see where they end up. It could be top of the league one day, or they could be bottom of the league one day. At number 5, I have the Dogs. Because although they lost week 1, I really love the running backs and quarterback play on this team. However, I just said you can really switch 6 and 7. I think you can throw this team in there too. I think 5, 6, 7, kind of like 12, 11, 10 are almost virtually interchangeable at this point because there are question marks on these teams, but you see where success lies in their teams, right? With this team, it's the running back room. Bijan and James Cook and Josh Allen, the rushing ability from those three is off the charts. The question mark, like both the bottom teams had question marks, this is the wide receiver room. Amari Cooper and Terry McLaurin truthfully looked awful. And it really wasn't their fault, besides Amari Cooper's drop touchdown. It was the fault of the quarterback play. As a wide receiver, you kind of need a pretty good quarterback to throw you the ball in fantasy football. At least a manageable one, and Deshaun Watson does not look at all serviceable. Jaden Daniels, I think, will be serviceable. He just has to kind of gain that rapport with Terry McLaurin, but how long would that be? How long would that be? That's my question. So, Kelsey, who knows? I think he'll be fine. Najee Harris, I think he'll be fine. Jameson Williams looks like a stud right now. Looks like a stud, looks like a great playing. And you also have Brian Thomas, so you do have options. It could boil down to a guessing game of who to start each week because you have 4 guys that are, at this point, boom or bust. But with that said, I think the Dogs are at number 5. At number 4, shooting up the rankings, is Off to Grandma. Off draft night, I didn't really love this team. Come to find out on Sunday, this team has a lot of star power. A.J. Brown and Kyron Williams Kyron didn't even have the best game, and he still provided a good fantasy game. And Ramondre, he looked like a whole new running back as opposed to last year. Maybe the Bengals defense was just awful, but DJ Moore, his outlook is skyrocketing now because no more Rome Odunze. Malik Neighbors, hopefully, even with a bad Daniel Jones, he's still got 6 catches. It's pretty impressive. JSN had a bad game, but maybe you can switch in Ezekiel Elliott or Gabe Davis, whatever. There's options on this team. I like it. I really, really do. The only question mark I have is Dallas Goedert, but he's never really been that good anyways. So I wouldn't put it past him to go to the waiver wire this week or next week, or maybe trade for a tight end, but that would be kind of crazy if you ask me. But I think Off to Grandma is a great team. I definitely one I overlooked, and I think it is the 4th best team right now. At number 3, I have Breece's backpack. Love the competitiveness that this team brought this weekend. I was firsthand to it. He won, and without Marvin Harrison doing anything. That's very impressive, considering Marvin Harrison was your 2nd rounder. Mike Evans, he's timeless. Breece Hall looks like a absolute stud again. I love Breece Hall. Zay Flowers actually was going to be a great flex pick. Xavier Worthy, we will have to monitor his role, but Christian Kirk and Xavier Legette are on the bench in case. Anthony Richardson leading that with his rushing abilities alone. I think this team can actually do some pretty good things. And I think it's built for the playoffs. I think this will be the 2nd straight year Jay Gill goes. Maybe he gets to that 1 seed a couple times like he did last year. I would not be surprised if he did. If I had to point out a question mark or a weakness on this team, it is Devin Singletary. The running back 2 position will be one that maybe is overlooked on a week-to-week basis, but it could be costly because that Giants offense is terrible, and Devin Singletary, although is the workhorse and he will have the volume, it just won't be good volume. And that showed on Sunday. So maybe something to address there, but however, Breece's backpack comes in at number 3. Number 2, I don't think I've ever said this, but it's Mez's team. Can't Chubb check. I was just completely wrong about a lot of these players. Joe Mixon might be really, really good this year, but Sunday really showed me the power of these running backs, David Montgomery, Kenneth Walker, and Joe Mixon. The crazy thing about this team and this performance was how they got the job done in a pretty significant fashion, even when Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't do shit. That's very impressive. Devontae Adams didn't do shit either. Those are your 2 top picks, and they didn't have to do much for you. So you executed your draft strategy pretty much perfectly, drafting your running backs in the dead zone and rounds, 3 through 5 or whatever, and it ended up really well for you. Lamar, I think, is going to be great again, as always, with the rushing upside. The only question is the tight end. Jake Ferguson injured, and Jake Ferguson was not one to turn heads anyways, but now you got to go to the waiver wire and take a chance on, I would assume, a Saints tight end, some backup somewhere. It's going to be a question mark. We'll see how Mez approaches that. But all in all, I think this team is actually really good. So, I got Can't Chubb check at number 2. And to finish off the power rankings, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment down below what you liked. Like the video if you want. Text in our chat what you thought, if anything was good or not. Whether you disagree, agree with, I don't care. I'd like to hear and have the discussions. But you like that is coming in at number 1 for the 2nd straight week. Kyler Murray, I think, is going to be a great fantasy quarterback this year. Top 5 at least. And although week 1 wasn't great for him, his rushing upside is going to be something that carries him to that finish line, especially when he starts throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. He was mainly throwing to McBride and Dortch. Whenever he starts throwing to Marv, his fantasy numbers are going to skyrocket. Achane, although injured, looked fantastic this week. CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp might be the 2 best receivers on the same team in the league right now. Lamb and then Kupp now with Puka injured, that might be a shoo-in for 50 points a game for this team. Maybe 60, not even exaggerating. The only question marks I have are Kyle Pitts and Travis Etienne. Although they both scored touchdowns this week, if they did not, they would have had very bad performances. So the touchdowns saved them. And I don't know if their teams truly trust them yet. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby had 12 carries, and he outpaced Travis Etienne. That's a big concern for him. And for Kyle Pitts, if it wasn't for that touchdown, like I said, he would have had an abysmal week like every other tight end did, to be fair. But it's just something to monitor. That last flex spot will be, it's looking like J.K. Dobbins or Keenan Allen. But like I said, there's question marks for every team still. But I think that the You Like That team is still all around the best team, especially with the highest ceiling. Because the rushing abilities for each of these players, really, Kyler, I guess Travis, Achane for sure, CeeDee Lamb could even run the ball. And then you have the PPR value alone in Cooper Kupp. I really, really love the way this team is built. We're going to keep it like that. So for 2 straight weeks, Thank You Tomorrow is the last place team. And for 2 straight weeks, You Like That is the first place team. So we'll see everything else in between next week. I'm really excited to see how week 2 goes, because that could really impact the power rankings, and then we can really start figuring it out as the season goes on. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I apologize for sounding a little stuffy. I've been sick and, kind of powering through this. I wanted to make it a lot higher energy than I did last week, because I just wasn't super proud of last week's video, so I hope this week was a little bit better. But again, I hope you guys disagree with me on some things. I'm not trying to be over the top, egregious about it, but I want us to have these discussions. And I think if I am taking myself out of, being a manager and doing this, I look at it from a third person perspective, and this is what I think I really feel. Now, obviously, you guys can change my opinion as the weeks goes on, but I really enjoy doing this, so I hope you guys enjoy watching and listening. So, send me a trade block. No one is updated on the trade block yet, but you can still check that in the description. And thank you all for sending in videos. If you did, if you didn't, please send in videos. It can be about anything. Really, really can. But that's it for me this week. Thank you again for watching, listening. This has been the Festus Fantasy Football Forum on the Fantasy Jacks podcast.
That feeling after a fresh cut has me feeling some type of way. Like, it has me going to places I don't normally be going to. Like Ulta. Do they have a sale? Starbucks. What's on the menu? What's new? Home goods. Do I need a plant? Fuck no. But 4 billion women on this earth? That might not be enough. You know what I mean?